Welcome to the first week of the Textual Analysis Unit. This week, you're looking at digital editions and digital archives, and you're going to explore a digital archive and select the text that you want to work on. We'll go through this slowly, and so this week, you'll think about what text you want to look at, and then in later weeks, you'll start using Voyant to do textual analysis. And what I'm going to do in this short video is look at a few different archives that you can select from. For this assignment, I'm not really concerned where you get your text, so long as that text can be used in Voyant. So the first thing you should do after reading the assignment details is go into Voyant Tools. That's voyant-tools.org, just to have that open, because as you're selecting your text, you'll want to make sure that you can use it in there. Because if you have something that is not OCR'd, what that means is it doesn't have ocular character recognition, it's just an image, it doesn't have actually any text, then you won't be able to do any analysis with computers with it. And I'll provide you specific archives that should have access to text for you. The first digital archive I would like to look at together is called Redux. And this is a good example of something that's open access and scholar driven. You actually listen to the person who was part of making this in your readings for this week. That was the talk by Jesse Carlsberg. What Redux does is it gets you access to the archives of other universities. This particular collection is from Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. And I especially like it because since it's open access and scholar driven, it's designed to work with these kind of assignments where we want to do analysis with it. And you'll see in a moment that it's designed to go straight to Voyant. So you'll have that covered. So when you go to this one, this is at redux.io. First thing I suggest is to click on Collections. Once you're in the Collections area, take a look if any of them interest you and go ahead and start clicking through and see what's available. I suggest focusing on things that have text in them. There will be some great images, especially in this Views of Rome one, lots of amazing maps in there, but that may be less useful for this assignment. I especially suggest looking at the Rose Library and the African American collection. There's lots of great work in there. You can try looking at the Apollo 15 flight data file. It's a fascinating collection, but it may not have as much text that you can work with. The early Black print culture is also a great collection I strongly suggest. So go ahead and click through those and see if any of them are interesting to you, and they'll be useful for the work you want to do. Then when you're in a collection, you'll see all these different options. And so there's ones like Yellowback novels. Those are very popular Victorian novels, the kind of thing you'd read on the train. There's different editions of Frankenstein because they had a big event at Emory to work with the anniversary. Let's say I want to look at this A Brother to Dragons. I'm going to click on that. And then you're in something called a Mirador Viewer. You may have seen this at other libraries. This is an open source kind of software that people use across digital archives. What's neat about it is you can click through and you can bring up this annotation tooltip and you can annotate and you can move around. And what makes this different than maybe other places where things are digitized is when you use this viewer, you have a very high quality image where you can zoom in and see all the different ads and things like that. Something to keep in mind as you're pulling over a text, you are welcome to look at anything in it for your later assignments. You don't have to be limited to just if it's a novel, the narrative of it. Look at the ads, get a feel for what the reading experience was for people at that time. And same thing with the other collections where you can look through and find, like, here's an address from Frederick Douglass. Find something that you're interested in because you'll be more successful in this project if you think that that's fascinating or want to learn more. So let's say I want to work with this text and I've gone through and I found some things and I'm fascinated by it. How do I use it? So see, it's called page options, the 3 lines here. You'll click on that and you have all this different information here, but you want to go down to actions and you want to click send to Voyant. And then it does it for you. Because remember, the people behind this, I think in particular, this was Sarah Palmer was the person at the Emory Center for Digital Scholarship who's working on this project. The people behind this are thinking that they want to enable this kind of research. So if you find something that you're very fascinated by in Redux, it'll be easy to send it straight over and to work with it and to find your visualization. So for the first round, you're just finding something and giving the link to it and saying what interests you in it, what questions do you have about it. But you want to make sure that it's easy for you in the future that you're ready for your second one where you use Redux and choose a visualization. Next, I'd like to look at Cove Electronic Editions. Cove was originally a Victorianist platform for teaching and making digital edition. It's been expanded lately to bring in different eras. So if you go to editions.covecollective.org/editions, you'll be able to find their peer-reviewed editions. So these are vetted by someone. They aren't just put up there willy-nilly. It's scholar-driven just like Redux. And the scholar behind this is a Victorianist named Dino Feluga. Sounds like there'll be different editors. So again, that's kind of a focus in this class is thinking about what's open source and what's scholar driven, because that gets into those ideals of openness, but also you have where you can frankly trust that someone's thought through, is this an accurate representation of the text? So for this one, just scroll through the peer-reviewed editions if you want to use it and see if there's anything that interests you. So we have Rossetti, we have Oscar Wilde, we have the lesser Rossetti, her brother, his sonnets, Conrad's Heart of Darkness. There's lots of different things in here. See if any of them interest you. Let's say if I want to work on Goblin Market. Maybe you've read it before in high school and you think, I'd like to return to that and think about it again. So what's neat here is there's this area called editorial apparatus. What that means is someone who researches Rossetti has written a biographical introduction, has given editorial introductions. So this is supposed to be almost like an open textbook. It's supposed to give it access to you so that you can work with it. Then once you find a text you like, look at the primary text area and go and click on that. So I haven't talked much about this, but this is an example of text encoding, that there's been this markup language, XML, used to tell machines what's going on in here. That's partially why we're having done so well as verse format. And so what you want to do is kind of look at this and say, hey, maybe I want to work on this. Do I have questions about this? Do I want to work on this text? And so Cove isn't designed the same way as Redux to feed directly into Voyant, but it'll work with it all the same. So let's say I look at this, like, yeah, that's the text I want to work with. Go up to the URL, grab that, go to Voyant, versus add text. You can just paste in there just to make sure they can do something with it. Now, you don't have to really actually do anything with Voyant for this first round of the assignment, but it's a good idea just to make sure you don't have to change text later on. And so, yep, this works just fine. The next one I'd like to look at is Project Gutenberg. You've actually probably already seen this. If you've ever done a Google search saying, I need this book full text, and it was in the public domain, that was probably a Project Gutenberg text that you came across. So you can peruse this by clicking on ones that are more recent. You can look for bookshelves and related ones, but you can also do a search. So think about a book that might be in the public domain, an older book, maybe one you read in high school or something like that. One that you would like to kind of delve into deeper, because a good thing to do with these, you can explore ones you've never seen before and do a distant reading that we'll talk about more in the future, or you can find something that you know very well and try to discover something else about it. So if there's something that you wrote a book report on in the past and you want to dive into it deeper, this could be your ticket. So I might look for Gerard Manley Hopkins. That's the poet I work on. See what they have of his. Let's go ahead and go with this one. So once you search and find something that you're interested in, go ahead and click on it, and you're gonna have lots of different format options. And so what you're going to want to do is go for one that's text. So these e-readers, That's great if you have a Kindle, but you want to either read it online with HTML5 or do plain text. Let's go ahead and go with read it online. Then you can look through it and see what you want to find and things like that. You can run searches. So maybe I want to find a particular poem. You can do searches and see what comes up. That's already a way that computers have changed how we interact with text. A codex, a book, a physical bound book, is already something that lets you to have random access. You can flip to a certain page. But that was changed again with being able to have this search function that's already kind of a form of textual analysis. And so I can see if there we go, I wanted to find a particular poem, I can see that particular poem and see something more about it. So that can happen if you know something about it too. So there's different ways to go about this first part of textual analysis assignment. You can discover something you've never seen before and use Voyant to find out more, or you can look at something that you know very well and see if Voyant can help you go deeper on it. And that depends on what you're interested in. So let's say I'm happy with this one. This is the Gutenberg one I want to use. I can just click up here, copy it. This one, because remember I selected one that was readable online. I can just put that straight into Voyant. And we're all set. It'll fetch the corpus, it'll bring it up, and I can start examining. Now, the final resource I want to show you is how to get a text from Voyant itself. Let's say you're just thinking, I don't know what to look at. I'm not really sure. You're looking through these different archives and none of them quite strike you. Nothing looks like what you want to work on. You're fine then because there's already two corpora set up for you in Voyant. What you'll do is when you're in voyant-tools.org, click this open button. Under select corpus, you can have Frankenstein, Jane Austen's novels, or Shakespeare's plays. Let's say I want to do Jane Austen's novels. I click it and click open. And then I have many things to work with. So take a look at the different archives, see what interests you. And if you're thinking at the end, I just didn't find anything, don't worry. This is your fail-safe. Go into Voyant and use one of the texts that they already have in there. You can look at Sense and Sensibility and Pride and Prejudice, Emma, whatever works for you. As always, let me know if you have any questions as you start this new project.